biodegradable pot. So we have no plastics inside the growth area anymore. Everything is biodegradable.
The goal is to prove that these hyper-sustainable techniques could one day be rolled out in every city and town in the world.
Transporting these leaves and this peat and this pot around the world.
We apologise for interrupting your programming. We're going to return now to some breaking news out of Venezuela. At least 7 explosions have been heard in the capital, Caracas, accompanied by a number of low-flying aircraft. Loud noises have been heard in the southern area of the capital, near a major military base, and the area is reportedly without electricity. A column of smoke is visible. The Venezuelan government's made no comment at this stage. The explosions were first heard around half an hour, 40 minutes ago. It's just gone 2:30 in the morning in Venezuela. We're going to go now to Lucia Newman, our Latin American editor, who's coming to us from Santiago. Lucia, what can you tell us?
Yes, I'm hearing the same thing, that roughly 45 minutes ago there were explosions heard and smoke was seen rising from Fortuna. Fortuna is not that far away from the presidential palace. It is the main military base in Caracas. It's a key center there, and a series of explosions we're hearing were heard throughout the area, and then there was a blackout. We're also hearing that ambulances were heard, sirens are being heard there right now. People are being evacuated, presumably soldiers and other people key to that fort, Tuna, which I can assume was the target of whatever it is that happened. But we don't know exactly how this explosion happened. Was it an airstrike? Was it some kind of a sabotage? Was it an accident? No information has yet been made public by the government, and we're not hearing any other news right now as to what could have caused this explosion. But it is certainly, you have to keep in mind that U.S. President Donald Trump, which has surrounded the area by sea around Venezuela, and who had said that he did not rule out strikes within Venezuela itself to go after what he called terrorist targets, terrorist narco-trafficking targets, as he called them, and which he said were being run by the cartel of the Soles, which is allegedly, according to the United States, run by the Venezuelan army. So that, if this is the case, Fortuna would be a likely target. This is, of course, speculation at this point. But for a long time now, we had been hearing from people in Venezuela that they were afraid that something could happen, or that they believed something could happen. There would be some sort of attack precisely there.
Lucia, as you say, it is speculation at the moment, but it also comes, as you point out, at a time when the US President Donald Trump has talked a lot about wanting to go after so-called narco-terrorists around Latin America, particularly around Venezuela. Can you give us some context about the campaign that has been waged by the US recently, and particularly that pressure that is on Nicolas Maduro, the president?
Well, first of all, we know that President Trump has set a $50 million ransom for any news, any information leading to the arrest of President Nicolas Maduro, whom he has labeled a narco-terrorist leader of Venezuela. Then, of course, we know that they have sent the largest deployment, naval deployment and military deployment around the Caribbean seas surrounding Venezuela ever seen in recent times, certainly in that part of the world. And he has been consistently authorizing attacks against boats, small boats, which allegedly are carrying drugs, but there has been no evidence of this ever made public. And then this has escalated over the last month, I would say, and weeks, where the President of the United States announced that there had been a ground attack, he didn't say exactly where, in Venezuela against what the United States called a narco-terrorist base or laboratory. That also was not made clear what it was. In both these cases, the president or the government of Venezuela has not confirmed that attack took place. But now we're seeing that Fortuna has been attacked or has been the victim of explosions. That's all we can say right now, because we don't know what these explosions were caused by at this point.
No,
but they are very serious, and they're being seen all over the capital.
Yeah, you say it's being seen all over the capital, and certainly, Lucia, as you talked in your first answer about the fears of local residents, as so far we have seen the United States very potshot at boats in the ocean. This certainly, if this is in any way linked to the United States and its recent campaign, certainly represent a high escalation in where things are at between the two countries.
Absolutely. It would be. It hasn't been confirmed. Usually we hear from the President of the United States or someone else in his government saying, we've just done this or we've done that. We'll have to be listening carefully to see if there are any announcements made. The U.S. President was precisely at a meeting with Israel's visiting leader, President Benjamin Netanyahu, when he announced that they had already carried out a ground attack somewhere in Venezuela, as I said before. But now, if this really has been caused by the United States in some form or fashion, which I can't speculate how at this point, then that is a huge escalation. Absolutely. It would be considered certainly by Venezuela and probably other countries as an act of war.
Lucia, just quickly, can you talk to us a bit about how the Venezuelan president has reacted to President Donald Trump and his statements so far?
I'm sorry, who has reacted? The president?
Yes.
Or the people of...
The president.
The president. Just 24 hours ago, or a little more than 24 hours ago, President Nicolás Maduro announced that he was willing to talk to President Trump to discuss concerns dealing with drug trafficking, with oil. Venezuela, remember, has the world's largest proven oil reserves in the world. It is a major oil producer and exporter, and sort of definitely trying to show an olive branch, to offer an olive branch to the Trump administration. But as far as I know, there has been no response to that whatsoever. He's also saying, President Nicolás Maduro, that the attacks on these boats are an act of international piracy and a violation of international law, and he calls it an act of U.S. aggression in general. But he keeps also saying that he wants peace and that he's willing to talk to the United States. So it's unclear what exactly he thinks is going to happen next. In the meantime, the Venezuelan government has been calling for what it calls all of its military personnel as well as civilian militia to train and to be on the alert for an attack or an invasion. He's gone so far as to say that anybody who leaves the country at this point would be considered a traitor to the nation, and that it was a time for Venezuelans to fight till the death for their fatherland. These are all the sorts of things that they've been saying as they go back and forth, sometimes trying to underscore or underplay, rather, the threat of an imminent U.S. invasion, which many people believe could happen, and at other times preparing the people for it. So it's a very, very tense situation for Venezuelans and for others who are in the region, who are looking to see what is going to happen. This is something that has not happened in Latin America since the United States invaded Panama back at the very end of 1989.
Lucia, as you say, it's a very tense situation, and one would imagine a fine line between shoring up support for an administration and warning, or rather threatening, local citizens that they must join the fight. How have Venezuelans responded to those threats from Donald Trump and from the rhetoric they're hearing from their own president?